is Super Week on 1620 The Zone. Powered by Moose Roofing and OSI Oakland.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Allan Bell. The AB3 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
That's right. Here we go. Josh said earlier that this is like our Super Bowl, but it actually is our Super Bowl, as we're joined now on the hotline by our dear friend Allan Bell driving the line. AB, hello. How are you?
Hello, good friend. How are we, sir?
Fantastic. I just had to dive into, there's so many things. I just had to pull up the bet that we do every year and that we all agree upon and that I root for in the Super Bowl. Punts. The over-under on punts is 6.5, and you can get a little plus money on the over. I feel like we've had some success here. Is this one of the ones that you'll be tracking this weekend?
It is. And you know what? We're going with it. Here's the tough part. You have two teams that are not afraid to go for it on fourth down. Philadelphia especially, man.
True.
Like, they do it all the time. That being said, we're going over 6.5. This number is low. All right. It is the Super Bowl. We can steal some early. Okay. And I think that penalties are going to play a factor in this game, specifically offensive holding. Ron Torbert, the head referee, loves calling holding on both sides. So, yes, over 6.5, good odds. We're doing it.
Okay, so when you think about it, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because when you think about it, you're like, man, we got some team. We'll have some points, and because I know we talked about the total last week. You're going to have some points, and you have a couple teams who, yes, like to go for it on fourth down, but also are really good at extending drives, like having long drives as well. And you might think, that might lead to less punts, which is why the juice is on the under. But I'm just going with historical precedence here, Allan. Over.
Over indeed. We're doing it.
Okay.
Taking the shot. Look, we can get it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's, after we started with a very, very specific thing, let's go to a very broad and general thing here. I know you did a podcast about this and you're talking plenty about it this week. What is for a novice or even for the experienced, how do you bet the Super Bowl? What is a good rule or a couple good rules of thumb to be thinking about when you're thinking about the big game?
Absolutely. So what you want to do is you want to take a look historically at how the Super Bowl is played. All right. It's a different game than any other NFL game. All right. Commercial breaks. They're worth millions of dollars. They're going to get to them. So you're going to have more commercial breaks, longer commercial breaks, halftime. Regular NFL game, 12 minutes. Super Bowl, 45 minutes. All right. So you're going to see not much scoring coming out of halftime into the third quarter because teams have sat for a much longer time. Now, these two teams have been here. Obviously, they know what they're doing. But historically, all right, points are scored in the second quarter and the fourth quarter of not only football games, but specifically in the Super Bowl. So those are things to pay attention to also. All right, do not wait until an hour before the kickoff to put your bets in, because anybody who's worked for any company that has a website, all right, when traffic gets high and websites go down and they stall, these books is the same thing. They're the same servers, all right? They get overloaded with traffic. If you wait, you will risk not being able to get your bets in. So don't do that. Don't wait. I'm not saying get them all in right now, but don't wait to the last second, because we've seen it year after year. One of these major books will have just too much traffic and the servers can't handle it.
That's great advice. Yeah. And wouldn't that also affect like the numbers and the prices that you're going to get as well? If you do it really close to the end, like just have an idea of where you're going to go right now. And then, now we've talked, Allan, we've talked about this in the past too. Like if you were going to do it and you're going to place multiple bets across the board in the Super Bowl, like have a picture in your head of how you think it's going to go and then go there, right? Or do you just go across the board and just go random?
No. Like, what you said is absolutely like the most intelligent way. Don't overthink it. All right. Like, go ahead and just get a score of what you think the game's going to be. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just, an idea, right? Let's just say you think 30-27 Chiefs. Okay. Well, now you've got what? 4 touchdowns roughly for the Chiefs, 3 touchdowns roughly for the Eagles, couple field goals mixed in, right? Like, that doesn't be perfect. Just get an idea of what you think, okay? Then you start with, all right, does the spread look enticing to me? 1.5. All right, does the total look enticing to me? 48.5, right? Then you start just going through the list. How does Philadelphia, they're going to score 3 touchdowns. How do they go about doing it?
Right.
They normally run the football, right? Saquon, Jalen. The Chiefs generally throw touchdown passes. So, just don't overthink it. Get a list started of what you like, and then go from there. And you'll update and edit as you go. But, that's a smart way to look at it. And also, remember, there are a lot of people that don't ever bet that will bet on this game. So, what do? They're going to bet players that they know, star players.
Mm-hmm.
So, their prop numbers are only going to go up the later this week goes, all right? Saquon Barkley, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Jalen Hurts, guys like that, famous people that people know that they bet on, all right, you're going to get worse odds as the week goes. So remember that as well. Don't be afraid to go ahead and lock in a number that you like.
Hey, did we talk about last week the Mahomes rushing touchdown? Something that he did in the AFC Championship game, but it had been a while. Like, I felt like we talked about that last week. Are you still on that?
We did, yeah. So, all right, we've been playing Patrick Mahomes rushing attempts.
Okay.
Like crazy. All right. His number generally is at 4.5. It's at 6.5, which I still left the over in that one because he's going to have to run the football. And remember, kneel downs count as rush attempts as well. Kneel downs at the end of the first half, kneel downs at the game, but at the end of the game. However, Mahomes, he's going up against the number 1 pass defense in the NFL in the red zone. Could be tough, man. Could absolutely be tough. I can see Patrick Mahomes taking a shot to get it in. So, rushing attempts, that's what I like over 6.5.
I'm looking at Mahomes pass plus rush touchdowns. So passing, rushing touchdowns combined. The numbers, I'm looking at the number at 2.5. And you get plus 184 in the over. Like, if you think he's going to get a rushing touchdown, he's definitely going to go over the 2.5 pass plus rush touchdowns, right? Like, I don't know. I picked that one out and I'm like, man, that feels pretty good to me.
It does, right? Like, I mean, that's the Chiefs throw touchdowns, right? Like, even if you look at the season numbers of touchdowns for, let's say, Isaiah Pacheco or Kareem Hunt, they're not really that high, right? Like, I mean, they've thrown a lot of touchdowns. Now, I will say this, what you want to do with that bet, because I like it, I'm with you. For insurance, go ahead and put money on Kareem Hunt anytime TD.
Yeah.
Just to protect yourself, right? Because if he runs one in, absolutely. Like, now you've got yourself a little hedge opportunity, and you can still hit both, right? But that's how you want. Like, the Super Bowl is a good game of playing little hedges like that to protect yourself. Like, I like Saquon Barkley 2+ touchdowns. Like, the guy is like, if the Eagles are going to be in this game in any way, like, Saquon's at least going to get 1 and probably 2. And remember, he catches passes too. And
I would say, okay, so here's the conundrum with this game. Because both teams have the tendency to be relatively explosive, right? I mean, the Eagles, they're kind of the slow-moving barge offense, but man, Saquon can bust one for 60 yards. And it's, the Chiefs they're about middle of the pack as far as explosive offenses in the NFL are concerned. So you're thinking, okay, we could have some long touchdowns, but both defenses are really good and are really good at containing those type of things as well. So there will be, the game will be won and lost in there, and how much both of these offenses could convert, I think, on long plays and turning them directly into scores.
Yep, absolutely, man. And that's the thing is that, in games like this, you see teams pull out all the stops, right? So if we look at, Mahomes, he's going to have to throw the ball a lot in this game. He's just going to have to do it. They just don't have the run game. I'm not saying anything negative against Pacheco or Kareem Hunt, but Mahomes is just he's going to have to throw the ball a lot more than they're probably used to. So you take a look and say, okay, how do I cash in on that of exactly what you just said? Well, who are their deep threats? Kelsey? Nah, not really. DeAndre Hopkins? Nah, not really. All right. Xavier Worthy. Like, that's a guy to where you could play like a longest reception, right? Like, he could get you there. And it doesn't even have to be a score. But you're going to find a number that's like, 21.5 yards, like his longest catch. Somebody's going to do it, right, for the Chiefs. You just got to figure out. And to be honest with you, I think it's easier on that side because you look at the Eagles side. I mean, dude, A.J. Brown could go for a long one. Devontae Smith could go for a long one. Saquon Barkley could go for a long one, right? I think it's easier on the Chiefs side. Like, I like the way that you're thinking in regards to the explosive play.
What angles have we not talked about that you're thinking about going into Sunday?
Yeah, so look, the Eagles have scored a touchdown in the first quarter in 7 straight games. 7 straight games, man. Like, they get started quickly. You know who else gets started quickly? The Chiefs. As of recent, like, they're playing old school Chiefs football. It took them a while this year. They kind of slow started, but they've been on fire in the first quarter. I like first quarter over. I like first half over, man. It's not a bad look because both these teams have also been here. They're not going to be nervous. You know what I mean? Like, they were just here 2 years ago. The Chiefs have been here they won 2 straight, right? Like, these dudes aren't nervous. They've been. So they're going to attack, and they're going to want to get points on the board because they know either team gets behind. These defenses are too good. And then Saquon Barkley, longest rush, over 24.5 yards. I mean,
I know.
Auto bet. Like, auto bet. You know what I mean? Like,
I wouldn't be able to live with myself if that did hit and I watched it hit and I didn't bet it during the game.
100%.
You know?
Exactly. It's like, if it loses, I'm fine with losing that money because the price of admission is worth it to me. So I think that, like, that's my favorite play. I also kind of like Patrick Mahomes to throw an interception because the Eagles defense, again, is phenomenal. Not that the Chiefs aren't, but he's going to have to throw it more than he's used to. He's just going to have statistically just a better chance of getting that.
Okay. Lastly, AB, what does Sunday look like for you? What's the food situation? Where are you in proximity to the television? Where are you in proximity to the remote? Paint us a picture of what the room looks like.
The room is quiet. Let me say that.
God bless you.
Yeah. So it's going to be a quiet one here. Just a couple, of the boys here. And we're still figuring out the food. Like, it's so easy to think wings and pizza, but we're going a different route, okay? What we're going to do, we're going all Cajun, okay? And we're thinking like this: shrimp, crawfish, all right, red beans and rice, items like that, because not only is it good and it has spice, they're all very easy to make. It takes, 5 minutes to grill up some shrimp?
I was thinking that you were just going to be on theme. You're going with the New Orleans. Like, I just figured that's why you were doing it. It's very on theme.
About that. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but it's the way to go. French bread, dude, you could make 1 million of those in 20 minutes, right? Like, that's the way that we're going, is simplicity, but also with some flavor. What about you? Like, what's the way you're going with it?
I don't even know. I don't even think I have a plan right now. I hope that it's quiet, like you said, and I don't want to be at the grocery store on Saturday looking for all the weird food items that I get this random half-assed idea for. So I better think of this probably in the next 48 hours and then go from there. But I am going in blind at the moment, but check back on like Thursday and we'll see what it looks like.
I love it. Yeah, like, dude, think the best way to go about it is think small items. Doesn't have to be, seafood or whatever, but the smaller the item, all right, the more quantity. All right, number one, it's generally cheaper. And number two, you can make a lot of them and you can kind of mix and match. Like, big, all kinds of, big pasta things. No, we're not doing that, man. Just small items and a lot of them get a lot of different flavors.
Yep, variety. That's what I'm here for as well. AB, great stuff as always. Good luck this weekend. Enjoy the game, and we will talk to you next week.
Look forward to it, boys. Y'all be good, man. Take care.
Allan Bell, you can find his stuff all week, Driving the Line. He's got some good stuff out there on how to bet it, which angles you want to take, where people make their mistakes and stuff like that. And I feel like every day of the week, there will be like this new angle. It's like, hey, I saw this stat and I just love it. And I can't get my mind off it.
Couple things from that. He had Patrick Mahomes' rushing attempts at 6.5. FanDuel has it at 5.5.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You got to if you're really super into it, like you could shop your prices a little bit. You could take your picks at where you go. I like to keep it all kind of contained in one deal. That's probably not the most responsible thing to do, but I like to keep it all contained on one app.
How about an anytime sack?
For
I don't know, Chris Jones plus 134.
Okay.
Nolan Smith Jr. plus 106. Jalen Carter plus 118.
Okay. Jalen Carter. I mean, he's got a tough matchup, but he's been pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And then
Josh just likes sacks.
I do.
Okay.
I mean, they're all hitting plus. We said Chiefs would win this 17-13 all those months ago, right?
Yes.
Plus 26,000.
Oh man, it was 29,000 at the start of last week when we realized it was going to be Chiefs and Eagles.
Well, there you go.
Well, people are starting to hear about that.
Mm-hmm.
So
money's coming down on it.
No shortage of ways you could do this thing. But do so responsibly, of course. That's what we always remind you.
It's important.